Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of All We Do Is Talk. We're here with a Week 6 review. I'm here with Isaiah and Moody. How we doing today?
Just another victory Tuesday, Eric. It's commonplace here for the Dallas Cowboys. We do an episode. I celebrate a victory. I'm here. I'm glad I can get a chance to do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, moving on. So we're just gonna brush that aside and start with our Thursday night game, where the Buccaneers went up to Philly and won 28-22.
Buccaneers got up early, pounded the ball out. Philadelphia backdoor cover. Jalen Hurts was pretty bad. Tom Brady was surprised a little in it off. Thursday night football.
Yeah, it was about as ugly as Thursday night football gets. We know with the injuries both sides are dealing with on both sides of the ball. Philly plays that too high shell look that makes it harder to just throw the ball down the field, and the game was in Philly. Games are always ugly in Philly. This was really just the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers won by 6, but they handled them pretty comfortably here. Philly never really threatened to even tie the game, let alone win the game. Tom Brady continues to look like a top 5-3 quarterback at 44 years old. Somehow, some way, he just continues to produce numbers. Antonio Brown continues to be the perfect fit.
Return to form.
And then playoff Lenny made an early appearance this year, and they ran wild on Philadelphia, whose run defense has been deteriorating since a couple of good games early in the season. But yeah, not much to say here. Philadelphia is bad. Bucks are good. The good team won.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bucks can run the ball, they're a top 2 offense in the league. When they rush for over 100 yards, I mean, it's going to be nearly impossible to stop them. Yeah, quiet day offensively for the Eagles, passing the ball. Like Jalen Hurts only had 115 yards on the game, which obviously kept it quiet for like Devontae Smith and all of their receivers and stuff. So, yeah, not a good game for the Eagles whatsoever.
The offense is bad. It's one of the worst in the league. The quarterback, he's probably not a franchise guy that can go with. It's going to be a long year. Hopefully, they can just keep getting the reps.
All right, so let's move on to the London game. Congratulations to the Jacksonville Jaguars on their first win of the season.
Duval!
And you took the Miami Dolphins, Isaiah. Beautiful.
Until Jacksonville got the vaunted flip of score before half, score after half, Miami was in complete control of the game. Tua was looking good. They were running the ball decently a little bit. But this was a sloppy battle between two teams that have a total of 2 wins, and they played each other. And what can I say? It was a vintage, like we had a vintage Thursday night football game. We had a vintage early morning England football game.
Yeah, these are 2 bad football teams going at it. Congratulations to Jacksonville for if there was a week that they were going to find a way to get a win.
It shouldn't have been this week.
This had to be the week to do it. They had this could be the best possible matchup against a team that the strength of their team is missing the game. Most of Tua's weapons are out. They still have no offensive line to protect him. They are the worst rushing team in the NFL. If Jacksonville was going to get a game, this had to be the one. They got it done. Congratulations to Urban Meyer. More importantly, congratulations to Trevor Lawrence. No one wanted to see him go 0-17. It ends a 20-game losing streak for Jacksonville.
Not that bad. Not 5 games off the record.
I saw they didn't break the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all-time.
That still stands from like the 80s, not 70s, 80s.
But overall, yeah, just Trevor Lawrence continues to show growth as a quarterback. He's going confident by the week. They're actually getting James Robinson involved more often, which has helped move their offense. They've been one of the best rushing teams in the league, and Trevor Lawrence is finding some more chemistry with his receivers.
Yeah. Anything else to say about this, Eric?
No,
another bad game.
Yeah, it was brutal to watch. But Trevor Lawrence over 300 yards. I mean, he looks good. Yeah, good for the Jags.
I mean, I really couldn't grade anybody because of the injuries. Like, he was playing against a lot. Because Byron, late we found out, a lot this week, we found out late that guys were out. And no Byron, no Xavier Howard, no weapons, no Fuller.
Problem.
Yeah. And for Jacksonville, they had a bunch of guys out too, and just not a good. Just I can't. That's what they could get. Getting away with sending that product to England and getting fans to get hype about that has got to be a crime.
It's what the NFL do best. Find ways to make money.
All right, next.
We're gonna go to my most painful game of the week. Made me lose 2 parlays. I went 4-1 in both of them. Both of them having this as the L. The Ravens shit pump the Chargers 34-6.
It was a bad matchup for the LA Chargers. I was talking about it in the preview show that Baltimore is the most dynamic rush offense in the NFL besides maybe the Cleveland Browns, and the LA Chargers are the league's worst run defense. And that's exactly how the game went. The Baltimore Ravens ran all over them. Lamar didn't even throw the ball as well this week as he has thrown throughout through the season. But he made enough plays to Mark Andrews, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, and Latavius Murray all scored touchdowns like it's 2015. Lamar Jackson continued to be a special playmaker, and they ran right through the Chargers. Defensively, they completely confused and harassed, and Justin Herbert was seeing ghosts the way Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts. That's what happened to them today.
I wouldn't say that.
He looked
22 for 39, 20 yards, 9 yards per attempt, touchdown and interception. He looked better than Lamar. They both look bad.
Lamar, you have to always include Lamar's rushing.
But I'm just talking about passing wise.
Into his game.
I'm just talking about passing.
It was a rough game for Justin Herbert in the Chargers offense. Baltimore had a really good game plan. They made a young quarterback see things he hadn't seen before, and they got out there with a really, really good statement win.
The Chargers are learning how to be a good team, so they're really young, so it's a work in progress. But Mr. Is it Brandon Staley? I'm not letting him off the hook. He didn't give his team. This is when analytics took an L, and he decided to go for a few too many fourth downs on his side of the field, allowing Baltimore to put the final 2 put away touchdowns on the board, and then it was game over. And then Baltimore's, if they can't stop the run and give Baltimore short fields to get up early and then have to rely on stopping the run. So bad coaching and bad set of circumstances. This is when going for a fourth down and being ultra aggressive goes wrong. As for Baltimore, their defense did look best. It probably looked the best of anything going on in that game because, the Chargers' pass defense was all right, but they didn't really have to. And then the Chargers couldn't run the ball at all. So they gave up almost 200 yards rushing, and they barely ran for 20. Yeah, that's it for that.
Yeah, the Chargers rushed for 26 yards in this game.
It's just bad matchup. Bad matchup for them.
Yeah.
Especially with the game plan they went with.
Yeah, it was the first game Justin Herbert didn't look comfortable and dominate. So, that's going to happen with a young quarterback. So,
especially when you make him throw on fourth down inside the 20.
They were down 14-0 before they even attempted the first one. They were like
2 possessions. They were in trouble. Doesn't mean
they were already in trouble.
Who aborts mission with a good quarterback down 2 possessions?
I'm not saying they were all great decisions. Although I would have gone for all of them, Brandon Staley. I actually agree with your process. It's just it didn't work out. They had been the best fourth down team all year. This
so you
the one time it didn't work out. This the first time it didn't work out.
Risk versus reward.
Risk
versus reward.
The Bills found out 100. Sometimes you can't be 100% every time, but until someone stops you, make them stop you.
They got stopped 4 times,
and they lost the game. They got stopped.
How many times
against the Kansas City Chiefs? They went 4 for 4, and they knocked off Patrick Mahomes. It'll fluctuate sometimes, man. You don't change your aggression game to game. You stick to what you do.
You make decisions based off of what you feel like, how the field.
And he felt like they needed to go get it, and they just did.
And if he felt that was a bad decision. But moving on from that. We'll get back to shitting analytics later on for sure. Let's move. I want to pick on somebody before I pick on my misery. I want to pick on Jared Goff in Detroit. So we had Cincinnati walking into Detroit, and they were up 30. This game, if there weren't a couple other games that were over fast, this game was probably the second fastest game where it was out of hand, and they won 34-11 going away. How do we feel about Cincinnati before I get to Jared Goff?
Cincinnati is a good football team. I don't know. They may not be a playoff team, although with the way some of the AFC teams are kind of starting to separate themselves, they might be able to backdoor the way into 7. They're a fine football team. The Detroit Lions are the worst team in the league. that's what happens. If the 15th best team in the league plays the 32nd best team in the league, this is what should happen. The Cincinnati showed no mercy. They put the beat down right on Detroit from the get-go. They never made Detroit felt like they had a chance. No cover gods, no backdoor, none of that. Their defense took it to them. And as we know, Detroit's just in an abysmal situation. Their offensive line's abysmal. Quarterback's not good. They have nothing at the receiver position. It's just DeAndre Swift running into brick walls. That's their only offense. No offensive creativity, no good scheme. They're bad on deep. Their defense is somehow worse than their offense. There's nothing good about the Detroit Lions. Nothing.
And Jared Goff continues to seek out his first win as an NFL quarterback without Sean McVay. I mean, his coach already throwing him under the bus. So
yeah, I think that's a mistake.
It's Jared Goff. Who cares about Jared Goff?
But you trying to get your team a win, blaming one problem is not the way to go about it.
The problem that he has a problem with. He's like, this guy right here giving us
a coach has been able to win with them. So so it's telling me that you're not Sean McVay. That's all I'm seeing from Dan Campbell.
I'm sorry, I'm not Sean McVay in my first year with what he's handling. Jared Goff can't carry no bad team. So
and this is the worst team in the league.
So he's just stealing $30+ million at this point. Good on for him and his bankers. Anything else to say about the start?
Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have continued to be much improvement. I think it was now hindsight. It was good that they took Jamar Chase instead of Penei Sewell.
What you mean? That's what I said to him. That's what I told him to do. That's what I told them to do because it was there and it was easy money. That's what I. Thank you, Sister. And luckily they fixed the offensive line enough to make that decision better.
Them being able to scrap together a good enough offensive line play has allowed them to get away with that decision. But it's working great. It's the best. It's by far the best reunion that has happened so far.
It was the only one that was built to.
So Jalen Waddle was over there, Devontae Smith's over there, and then
with Tua and Jalen Hurts, not Joe Burrow. Anything else to say about this? Let's
move on to
Detroit. Is it consensus that Detroit's the worst team in the league?
Yes.
Yeah, but still cover gods. I don't care.
Next is the second worst team.
Yeah, so the Colts shit pumped the Texans 31-3. This game was over before it started.
They were competing with the Rams and the Bengals to see who could be playing backups the fastest. And the Colts probably were third. They went back and forth. They let them stay in the game for a little bit. But when it was time to put them on, I wasn't surprised. I told you the Colts would dominate them easily. I was the only one to pick this game correctly. I hope that overhit, but I don't think Houston did enough.
They scored 3 points.
Houston's the second worst team in the league. And Davis Mills had a crazy good game against Bill Belichick. So that shows you where the Patriots are.
Yeah, I think that really that's it was. I expected a little bit more fight from the Texans. It's just like 3 points. Their best player was gone. They can do eight. Yeah, but they looked really good. Davis will start to right until Larry Tunsil walked out of their lives and didn't come back. And obviously that takes away the rest of the good players on their team. So
Brandon Cooks putting up his numbers. He will have 1,000-yard season
because that's what he do. He's Mr. 1,000-yard season.
And then he traded again this offseason.
First round pick?
Not anymore. Eric, anything else to say? This was probably
Yeah, it was also the return of T.Y. Hilton, who had 4 catches for 80 yards.
And he got hurt and left the game early right away.
So did Paris Campbell. Pain. That's what's stopping Indianapolis from making the next jump is that they can't keep any of their elite receivers.
Carson Wentz, who's looked really good the last couple of weeks after he struggled early on.
He was playing decently, but yeah, he's picked it up for sure.
We'll go Chiefs beat Washington 31-13.
The Chiefs just this finishes an 18-point game, and this game was actually really competitive.
It really wasn't.
Washington football team was in the game until early in the fourth quarter
because Kansas City plays with all their food.
But Kansas City was playing really, really poorly.
Just poorly.
Tariq Hill dropped balls. Interception.
They were moving the ball.
Hardman fumble.
They were moving, but they're moving the ball.
Patrick Mahomes threw one of the worst interceptions. They call it one of the worst turnovers you ever see. One of the worst turnovers you ever see. And all that came in the first half. They trailed at halftime 13-10 after leaving Ricky Seals-Jones absolutely wide open, but obviously talent went out at the end of the game. They went back to getting Travis Kelce involved. They started feeding him on a more regular basis after they seemed to have gone away from him in previous weeks, and it got their offense clicking again. It gave Patrick Mahomes some easy confidence-building throws, and then he could make the special throws down the field. The throw across the field to Tyreek Hill, big to Patrick Mahomes at this point. Washington football team isn't a good team, and they got handled by a great team.
And they put up a good effort in the random Sean Taylor retirement jersey.
Yeah, and we don't have to talk about what they did to Sean Taylor. It's really bad.
I mean, they retired the jersey, but yeah, they use it for distraction. We all know it. I mean, this game was close, but Washington was never in this game. They made that play to Ricky Seals Jr. to make you think that, they're in the game, but really, all Kansas City had to do was get one stop, and once they got one stop, it was over. And I think Taylor Heineke had a couple turnovers.
That interception he threw to D lineman, that was he snagged it off his helmet. That was insane.
Another quiet game for Terry McLaurin after a big start to his season, but Washington's in a quandary because they got 2 wins, so their season's not over. No one's season is, except for Detroit and Houston at this moment, season is completely over. But some teams they're one of those teams that's reaching the point of it's closing up shop soon. So they're gonna need to get things together. Hopefully get healthier. Anything else to say about this, Eric?
I only got one thing. The disrespect of Jackson Mahomes to dance on top of Sean Taylor's number
it's bad.
Patrick Mahomes he can't control his entourage.
There are a lot of problems with what happened to Sean Taylor and his legacy this weekend. It was pissed all over by the Washington football team and apparently the Mahomes family as well.
No, because guilty by association for the Mahomes family. Jackson Mahomes.
His last name's Mahomes, ain't it?
All right,
let's move on to the final blowout of this 1:00 window. Wow, football was not good this week.
All right, so the LA Rams walk into Meadowlands and did what they should do.
They beat the shit out of the New York Giants without having to. They played a D- game, and the game was over at halftime.
I said the only person who believed that Giants had a chance in this game was you.
But as I was saying, when Kadarius Toney and Andrew Thomas were playing, the Giants' offense was moving the ball. They were blocking Aaron Donald. But those guys didn't make it out the second series. So it was Daniel Jones throwing the ball to Dante Pettis being protected by Nate Solder. And Aaron Donald had a giant game because Aaron Donald. But game was over at halftime. Game was over at halftime. Matthew Stafford gets to keep – luckily for me, I've got Matthew Stafford MVP, so he fattened up his numbers and avoid tripping up to keep the season looking good for him. And the Rams and Cooper Kupp is always open.
It's not much to say about this one. This was a beatdown from start to finish.
Bad team versus good team. Giants are reaching that point, or even further than the Redskins at that point of it's looking dire, and they're about to start packing it up soon. They're gonna need to get it together, but they got Kansas City and Tampa Bay left.
All right. So
Eric, anything else? No, you don't even want to say. No, if the game was over at halftime. The game was over at halftime. Huh?
I'll save my Giants take for the picks coming up later this week. So moving on, we'll go to I Own You, Illinois, where the Packers beat the Bears 24-14.
This was actually a pretty competitive football game. The Bears were in it the whole time. The Bears ran the ball well. They defended Aaron Rodgers pretty well. Now, obviously, no one can do anything about Devontae Adams because if Aaron Rodgers is throwing him the ball, he's indefensible. They just do too many things with him. And Aaron Rodgers being better than Justin Fields is why the Packers won the game. But the Bears looked good. The Bears hung tough. They defended really well. They hung in there as long as they could, but obviously the Packers are a really good football team. Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears, 22-5 record. They don't touch him on most occasions, especially not when they have just a mediocre team. And they didn't on this Sunday. So.
Unlike the other matches we previously talked about that pitted good team versus bad team, the Bears decided to compete today. On Sunday. And that's what they did. They competed, but the Packers are so much better that they kind of handle them and just walk through.
They had to earn it. They had to fight for it, but it was never in doubt.
Yeah, you got a surprising performance from Herbert with 19 carries, 97 yards that kept them in the game and kept Aaron Rodgers off the field.
on my fantasy bench.
Packers. I don't think the Packers defense is that good because it's never really ever that good. So I'm not surprised to see they've been spotty against some bad teams at moments. They're pretenders. They're good for now, but who knows?
Yeah, another good day from Aaron Jones with 4 catches, 34 yards, and 13 rushes for 76 yards. Another quality Aaron Jones day. So let's move on to my pain, where Minnesota beat my Panthers 34-28 in overtime.
You can go ahead and get us started, Eric. Tell us what happened.
Well, our offensive line is brutal. Sam Darnold got sacked 4 times. I mean, I don't know what they're doing up there, up in the front. We're obviously missing Christian McCaffrey, which is a huge part of our offense. But yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold looked good on that last drive, but other than that, I mean, he's not the answer for us at quarterback. I wish we drafted Justin Fields now that J.C. Horn is out for the rest of the year. I wish we got a quarterback, so there would at least be competition for Sam Darnold.
Oh man, surprising! Sam Darnold ain't the guy. Who could have seen that coming?
He played good in that fourth quarter.
The garbage time.
It wasn't.
That's what you call.
No, they were down 8 points. It was never any garbage time.
They were down double digits.
Minnesota really wasn't playing that good. It was another Panthers game where they're playing another battle between pretenders, just duking it out. And Panthers really didn't do anything until they scored in the end and then forced overtime. They had a good fourth quarter. They matched their total yards in the fourth quarter for the whole game in the fourth quarter alone. So I mean,
Minnesota's defense isn't good. Patrick Peterson got sent to IR himself. They're lucky they're heading into a bye this week. But yeah, Minnesota's defense isn't good. It was surprising they were able to hold down the Panthers for as long as they did. A lot of big drops in the game. DJ Moore has fallen off a little bit from where he was to start the season. And without Christian McCaffrey, the Panthers offense is just they have to adjust, and it's gonna take a little while.
Big game from Dalvin Cook.
7 drops on Sunday.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, big game from Dalvin Cook. And my most impressive thing was the poise of the quarterbacks on all 3 of the touchdown game tying or leading winning drives, because that was impressive by Sam Darnold on his game time drive and Kirk Cousins' answer drive in overtime. But good work for them to at least get it together and show you decent quarterbacking skills by the end of the game. Beginning of the game, rough.
Sam Darnold went 17 for 41.
He did all of that. He probably might have been 3 for 21 to start.
He was 7 for 21. I remember looking up the numbers because he was bad for the most part
until he started hitting something, and until that touchdown drive wasn't doing anything. But he looked so good on that touchdown drive, it makes you question what were they doing. But their offenses looked like people got to jump on their offense. So we'll see what Joe Brady's got, because he's supposed to be getting a lot of acclaim for a head coach. So he's got to adjust that up a little bit, because guys don't look as open as they were to start the season. Anything else to say about this, Eric, before we move on to 4 o'clock?
No, just pain. So let's move on to the 4 o'clocks. We'll start with the Raiders taking a visit to Denver, where the Raiders won 34-24.
The fired coach bump. It usually rears its head, and it came through big time for the Vegas Raiders in this one. They're a better team than the Denver Broncos. This was the battle of the biggest pretenders. The Derek Carr was aggressive and pushing the ball downfield on Denver's secondary, and it worked. Henry Ruggs caught a bunch of explosive plays. Josh Jacobs ran the ball well. Their defense did a really good job when Denver's offense ran out the clock. But yeah, overall, really had to deal with John Gruden this week. But they came through, got a good win, and kept their playoff hopes alive, probably.
Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos offense has played the same style of game 2 weeks in a row, where they've fallen behind because of this week bad Teddy Bridgewater turnovers, last week just bad inefficiency of moving the ball, and then just pile on garbage time to make the score look better. They haven't been competitive in 4 weeks.
I don't know. They're 3-3.
They weren't competitive again. No, 3-3. So yeah,
They got
4
dominated.
weeks. So in 4 weeks they haven't been
They
competitive.
got dominated by Baltimore.
And they kind of got dominated by Pittsburgh too.
Yeah.
And they got dominated by the Vegas Raiders. So like, wow, I don't really know what type of team they are because I thought they were better than that, but they haven't put on a good show in the last 3 weeks. Defense doesn't look as good either, so that doesn't bode well for Vic Fangio. So I don't really got anything else to say about that except Denver. Cortland Sutton is looking back to normal, and Tim Patrick has had a really great season.
They got to give. They still, as many receiving injuries as they dealt with, they still have a decent receiving core in Denver.
Anything else, sir?
Yeah, I mean what's the Broncos head coach?
Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio. He had 2 terrible challenge calls in this game. The one that he challenged on Henry Ruggs' catch, it was clear as day catch. That was.
I do remember that one. Yeah. Ooh.
That was a very emotional challenge.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It was like he was challenging, going, "No, I don't want that outcome of the play." Yeah. So that
he just wanted to see if he get rid of it.
So, let's move on to. Do we only have 3 4:00 games? Yeah. Let's go to Cleveland, where the Cardinals dominated the Browns for 4 quarters. 37-14.
The injuries are starting to overcome the Browns. Sometimes it's just that simple. You miss too many guys. JOK's gone down. They're missing both of their tackles. They're missing both of their running backs. Jarvis Landry. Odell had an injury. Not to mention that Baker Mayfield's dealing with a left shoulder that's hanging on by a thread. They're beat down, and they went against a really, really good football team, a team that remains unbeaten, that's playing with the utmost confidence in the world right now. And the Browns just don't have enough in the tank. They don't have enough depth to be able to survive the wave of injuries that they've received. Their defense continues to be inconsistent up and down. Kyler Murray made them look silly. DeAndre Hopkins had a really good game in this one. The tackling was really poor in this one for the Cleveland Browns. But Arizona's legit. They're a really good football team, and they took advantage of a beat-down football team that was limping into a Sunday slaughter. Until
Baker Mayfield's couple fumbles and bad interception, the game was kind of close, and the Browns defense was holding tight. The injuries did them in because without neither tackles, no run game to speak of, no protection. So that right there alone, it comes out a few minutes for the game that they don't have either tackles, and Kareem Hunt gets hurt, and Chubb's already got a questionable injury that got him out. Tough for Cleveland. They're probably not going to overcome these injuries right now, so hopefully they just get everybody back in time because luckily they've got a few wins. They've got 3 wins. Mm-hmm. So they've got a few losses to give and still be good, but it probably makes it tough because Baltimore has been really good. So they're probably going to fall behind the race for the AFC North. And the way Cincinnati's been playing and the way Pittsburgh's been playing, it's going to be tough to have these injuries to deal with. So that doesn't bode well for them. Anything else I have to say about this game?
Yeah, I don't know what game you were watching thinking that the Browns were keeping this competitive. I thought
what's it called? But after the first 2 Baker Mayfield turnovers, they got stops in the red zone.
They only got even kind of in the game because of a Hail Mary at the end of the half when they were down 23-0.
But that's before the quarterback got hurt too.
This was a beatdown.
They beat them out in the second half, but they were doing the most they can to keep them in to overcoming a lot of bad turnovers. So I mean, it's a blowout. It became a blowout. It became a blowout. I thought Cleveland gave them a fight for a little bit, as much as a fight they could have gave them. It was another good football game on Monday, but yeah, the only good game of Sunday, Eric. We've got Dallas going in to Foxborough and getting their first win against the Patriots on the road since 1987. Go ahead, Moody. And get the hype up. Start hyping it up.
I mean, yeah, we just this was one of the best football games of the year. It was Dak Prescott versus Bill Belichick going at it. Bill brought everything he could. He decided to take away Zeke and double team Amari Cooper. Did his best to take away the weapons. Had us confused on third down. He wasn't
doubling Amari.
He did. J.C. Jackson in the state. He did double Amari Cooper. They took away the run game. They forced us. They got us off the field on third downs. They were really good in the red zone as well. We made a couple of mistakes down there late. Dak interception, Cedric Wilson drop, and they stayed in the game for as long as they hung in the game. They hung in the game. The Cowboys just kept moving the ball up and down the field, but they just kept shooting themselves in the foot. I'm not going to talk about the referees, but they were pretty abysmal the entire game. But the Dallas Cowboys offense continues to look like the best offense in the league because of their ability to be versatile. Bill took away the run this week like the Bucs did in week 1. So Dak Prescott went right back to throwing for over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was an MVP performance by a quarterback playing at the highest possible level that he's ever played at. And that allowed the Dallas Cowboys to win the football game. Really, they put the game in number 4's hands, and he took them down the field and made the clutch plays that they needed to make. Trayvon Diggs had a spectacular pick 6. And they just managed to squeak out of there against a team that was desperate to win a home game.
Yeah, so while this game turned out good, it didn't turn good until probably the fourth quarter, the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. This was an ugly, despicable snooze fest for the first 3 quarters with lots of sloppy penalties. Assisted by the refs calling a little tight one way. And Mac Jones the New England's offense just went missing in action for like 7 consecutive drives for 1 point.
They went 19 minutes without a first down.
And so I don't even know what the exact number is, but there was a long period of time where New England actually didn't do anything. So the Cowboys were just marching on them relentlessly, and then turnovers and or penalties and or 4th down stops.
Yeah, 4th down stop, and then a non-review.
The Cowboys were playing sloppily, but New England's not good. New England's not good. Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, and now that he doesn't have a quarterback, and his team isn't supremely talented, his great coaching, which is he's still probably putting on one of his best coaching jobs this season, and it's gonna probably be to go 6-11.
It's about talent, man. This league's still about talent. As good as Bill Belichick is, and he is incredible. He's the best coach to ever do it, defensive mastermind. But if you don't have the talent, the other team's just gonna beat you, and that's what happened in this one.
Yeah. The best game, but it wasn't a hard week to really win that. It was just wow. Just looking back in the slate. Let's move on to the Sunday Night Football game.
You don't want to hear Eric's comments about the game?
Yeah, damn, Isaiah.
Yeah.
But
my bad, my guy. My bad.
Isaiah don't want to talk about the Cowboys winning. He try to brush that shit under the rug and move on from it as quickly as possible. Let's get Eric's comments.
Yeah, but for me, I think this moves Dak Prescott into 2 of the MVP and will be 1 once the Cardinals lose. But Trayvon Diggs with another great interception, pick 6, but then he gets cooked on the very next play for the 75-yard touchdown.
I disagree.
He got cooked, but the safety didn't help. The safety could have helped him not get cooked for a touchdown. The safety could at least tackle the guy, but he did get cooked because he went for the interception. I don't know what he's doing going for the interception.
Diggs thought the safety was going to go get the interception.
What's he doing he's going for an interception clearly though. But yeah, I mean that pick 6 was game changing. I let Mac Jones off the hook for throwing that because I picked the under and a cover, but he decided
inevitable. He's inevitable.
Mac Jones decided to account for 2 touchdowns in 2 throws. So good on for him. Anything else to say about this, Eric, though?
Yeah, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, if he keeps going the way he is, it's going to be awfully hard to beat Dallas. If they keep rushing for over 100 yards in the game, it's going to be very difficult for people. So let's move on to the Sunday Night Football game where Russell Wilson was getting his reps in before the game, but Pittsburgh prevails 23-20.
Ugly. That's the only way this game could have gone, though. We got Gino Smith versus Ben Roethlisberger. Pittsburgh spent the first 3.5 quarters in complete control of the football game. The Seahawks looked like they had no answers on offense, and Pittsburgh was doing just enough. And then it all flipped
when Big Ben decided to be Big Ben.
Yeah, Big Ben started flubbing up a little bit out there, and some Seahawks got the momentum. And Gino Smith started moving them down the field. They in the entire fourth quarter, they were just pushing and forcing the ball down the field and able to make plays. DK Metcalf had a really big game in this one, and they got the overtime. A couple of stops back and forth, but then the team with the most talent and the best player made the winning play. And T.J. Watt went out. Whatever reason, Seattle decided to leave T.J. Watt one-on-one twice, and both times he got off the block and he destroyed Geno Smith and made the play for his team, and that's why Pittsburgh won the game.
I mean, two teams that just need to retool.
Yeah.
Probably need to clear everything and restart, just because of where they are, how far they've fallen from their championship status. I would know as a Giants fan, they're headed there. For Seattle, they don't really just. I don't know how they stay in this game, but they have Jamal Adams, and he's a good player. I don't know. He's worth what they've given up, all they've given to get him. And Russell Wilson's out now, so DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett aren't as effective. Their offensive line's not great. Pittsburgh, I'm more disappointing in Pittsburgh though, because there's no way you have to go to overtime to beat a Gino Smith-led Seattle Seahawks, and it looked like they needed every bit of everything. And I don't think neither of these teams are probably going to the playoffs this year. But Seattle's reaching a point now that they're 2-4 in a tough division where, as I said for Washington football team, as I said for New York Giants, they're reaching that age, bro. You're going to start stringing some wins together.
And Russell Wilson's now walking through that door, so that's a problem. That's a big problem.
And this game put me to sleep, so I know it was pretty bad. Eric, anything else to say about this snooze fest?
No, I didn't really watch this game, to be honest.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
I watched every minute of it, man. It was just ugly football. Just ugly, sloppy defensive football.
So
at least we don't have to end on that note. Let's go to Monday night. A good game. The best game of the weekend, probably.
Monday Night Football in Nashville, where the Tennessee Titans beat the Buffalo Bills 34-31.
Just a fantastic played football game. Two high-powered. Tannehill finally got all of his weapons out there. Of course, two of them left the game and did not return because that's just what happens to Tennessee at this point.
I think AJ Brown came back out, but
Julio didn't, and neither did Taylor Lewan. So missing down a couple starters. Tennessee fought like hell. Derrick Henry took over the game because he is the best running back of this generation. He's unbelievable.
It's not even close.
They just feed him the ball and he just dominates. And everyone knows he's getting it. There's nothing you can do about it. And then it opened up for the first time all year the play action game. And Ryan Tannehill killed it, keeping the ball. AJ Brown over the middle on crossing routes. They abused
when he was playing.
They abused the Bills over and over and over again with those plays. And Buffalo matched them. I mean, Josh Allen was going up and down the field as well. Emmanuel Sanders caught a touchdown. Cole Beasley caught a touchdown. Stephon Diggs caught a touchdown. The Bills did their thing. Like, their defense didn't show up as well as they normally do, but the Tennessee's a tough matchup with Derrick Henry. But Josh Allen answered at every call except for the last time. This is another game in which I'll agree with McDermott. I think they made the right decision to go for it on fourth down. I hate the play call. Like, everybody in the building knew the QB sneak was coming, and yes, you've gotten it every single time for the past 10 tries. But they literally shifted inside and said, "We're taking this away." At that point, check out a bit, get a different play going. They overcompensated to take that away. If you run anything to the outside, it's an easy first down. Go win the football game. Again, fine with the decision, not fine with the play call.
Yeah, I'm okay with that decision in the end. Because I don't think it's as despicable as whatever Brandon Staley was trying to get away with on Sunday. But the call is terrible because I don't even know what they were thinking they were going to get. Because as we've seen, they were in shock that they came out and gunned. Tennessee bunched up in the middle, and then they went down under center to run quarterback sneak into the pile of bodies. And their left guard was in the backfield, so they didn't get it, which was my only argument at the point when I told you, on fourth down, anything can happen, and most of the time anything will happen. It's random, and it's always hit or miss. Is when you're just coming down to one play. I would have preferred for them to pass the ball since they already had the spread going, give a run pass option maybe. But the only thing that sours this game is that I don't believe Tennessee really won it at the end. Buffalo gave it away. And
hey, they made the play. If Buffalo makes the play happen, Tennessee doesn't leave with a victory today. So they won the game.
They put like you said, they put a lot of guys in the middle of that front saying you're not going to get quarterback sneak. It looked pretty easy to stop, and it looked like a pretty bad. It made the play call look after seeing it, the play call looked automatically like one of the worst play calls. Especially from such a good offensive mind. This is a tough loss for Buffalo to take with the AFC being so tight, and we know these are they've played. I think they've already played everybody except for Baltimore. I don't think they're playing Baltimore. They played all the powerhouses. Kansas City, Tennessee, and I don't think they play Baltimore or Cleveland either. So tough loss for Buffalo, but I mean it's going to happen playing against. They got a pretty cakewalk schedule. Luckily, they'll get over it. And Tennessee needed this win to show that they had a chance in the AFC playoffs. Get some momentum going for them. Bad injury for Caleb Farley.
Yeah, out for the season, torn ACL.
Eric, how do you feel about this game? It was a good game, though.
I don't know how y'all went talking about this game without mentioning Derrick Henry. Dude is a beast.
No, Moody definitely called him the greatest.
I didn't say he's the best running back of the generation, Eric. I definitely mentioned Derrick Henry.
All right. Well, yeah, Derrick Henry's a monster. He is the perfect blend of size, speed.
He just has it all. He has he didn't perfect blend. If you have 99 attributes everywhere, yeah, that's 99 everywhere is a perfect blend. But yeah, he's joining my MVP top 3 this week.
Same here.
He's been carrying the load.
Yeah.
Actually, now that we're finishing up there, I mean that's usually how we end it every week.
Mm-hmm.
MVP's top 3. So since I've already revealed Derrick Henry, he sneaks in at 3. At 2, I'm pushing back. I'm pushing out both AFC quarterbacks. I'm pushing Matthew Stafford back up to 2. And at 1, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I just don't know how long he'll keep this up, but wow, his numbers are video game like.
Yeah. At number 3, I'm gonna go with Lamar Jackson. He is carrying the hell out of the Baltimore Ravens. They got more players than any on IR than any other team in the NFL, and yet they just keep getting W after W. Now they needed a 65-yard field goal to beat Detroit. He choked away the game against Vegas, so
Indianapolis choked away the game.
Yeah, so he doesn't get to be one because it's about the whole resume, and he has a couple of flubs, but overall he's been outstanding. And he's been outstanding, absolutely incredible. He's improved so much as a passer as well. And if Baltimore can find a way to just be a little bit help, actually, Ryan Stanley just got ruled out for the year, so they won't. But Lamar's going to do everything he can to carry him on. I picked him to be the 2 seed in the AFC. They're the 1 seed right now, so great on him. But we'll see how long it lasts for him. At number 2, I'm going to have Dak Prescott. 5-1 Dallas Cowboys. He's shown his worth. I mean, no one even talks about the $40 million contract anymore. It's not a question. He's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the game right now. He's been unbelievable, and his team continues to win games week after week after week. And he deserves a spot at the table. And I'm giving him 1 at number 2. And number 1,
Who's he beat?
Justin Herbert.
And who else?
Anybody else except for the Bucks. I mean, he's played on the schedule.
The Giants.
You give him Matthew Stafford credit for beating the Giants?
No, he beat Tom Brady and the Bucks. And he beat the Bucks.
And then they lost to the Cardinals.
He beat the Bucks. How many people beat the Bucks?
1. 1.
And Eric we'll bring up the Bucks because I'm pretty sure he's not removing Tom Brady, even though I don't know how Tom Brady.
It's funny how all of a sudden the schedule excuse to go ahead and move the goalpost, but it is what it is.
I'm just saying you got to beat them.
And we beat Justin Herbert in the LA Chargers in their building, so that's beating somebody. And then at number 1, obviously Kyler Murray. Until they lose, he gets to be number 1. So
he was falling behind. He fall behind for all this last week. So
he's been number 1 for me the entire time. So that's where he gets to stay.
All right, Eric, go ahead.
So to your surprise, I am moving Tom Brady out of the top 3. I'm putting
he was hanging around.
I'm putting Derrick Henry number 3. I'm putting Dak Prescott number 2. And until he loses, Kyler Murray is the MVP of the league.
Yeah, good for Kyler Murray. They've had one of the tougher schedules in the league, and they just ran right through it to 6 straight wins. Now that division is still.
I mean, other than the Rams, who they play?
They just beat the Browns. They just beat the Browns. I mean, Minnesota's not a good team. They're not a bad team.
That game.
And they beat them. So I gotta give it. They beat San Francisco.
That's why they're not. I don't really think Kyler Murray has many. They haven't beaten many good teams except for the Rams to win. That's really what's carrying.
But you was about who they beat. They beat the team that beat the Bucks. So and they handled them. They dominated them, and they dominated Cleveland. So I gotta give them credit for that.
Yeah, and he'll probably be number 1 on next week's because they play the Texans at home.
Ooh.
He's got a Packers game coming up that's gonna really debate if Aaron Rodgers wants to take his spot.
Yeah.
Because him and Mahomes have been quiet, but I feel like they're gonna start making an argument soon enough. Anything else for this week?
No, it was a pretty boring week.
Terrible week. Pretty terrible week.
The buys have kicked in. My team gets 2 weeks off, so I don't even got to stress this week. Y'all have fun. The Giants-Panthers rivalry is going to be a big one this week for the podcast. One of these teams can finally beat each other instead of the Cowboys beating up on them.